Well, it is time to talk about a big question mark when it comes to DC and live action. What is part of canon in the DCEU and what isn't? What character is playing the same version of a character they played elsewhere and what character isn't? And we got some bad news in regards to this, and this comes directly from Harley Quinn herself. As most of you know by now, Margot Robbie recently decided to say that she sort of had enough of Harley Quinn for the time being, and she's taking a break on that and working on DC films because she wants to do other stuff. She is burnt out. But in the meantime, we keep hearing plenty of what is coming from DC, but very little of it seems to paint the picture of how anything, if anything, even connects anymore. And we know that internally they were discussing abandoning the whole shared universe thing. Publicly, they've stated as such, but then some other lines and contradicting things all go against it. Again, this seems to be a pattern for the studio. So with that in mind, here's what Robbie recently said, and I quote, "Each movie is its own thing that works in the comics and that works in the DC film world as well. It's not like Marvel, where everything is linked in a more linear way. It feels like there's adjacent films happening at the same time, like the comics." End quote. Now I think we get what she's saying, right? Adjacent films. Birds of Prey is adjacent to the DCEU and Harley's story. The Suicide Squad is adjacent to that as well, meaning that the films are overlapping the same sort of ideas and direction of a character, but in different ways. AKA, she's no longer with Joker, but she's taken a completely different path in life. And this does sort of, reflect some of what the comics do. Because you can go pick up a comic where it's supposed to be part of an event, and you look at it, you're like, wait, you're telling me Green Lantern isn't supposed to be here right now because he's off doing his thing in his event. But why is he with the League? And they don't address any of it. And then in the Green Lantern comic, he addresses being with the League, but it doesn't go vice versa. This has been something that's in comics all the time. And when you're putting out 30, 40, 50 issues a month, it's hard to keep track. And it looks like, as she says, there's no real linear path anymore in the DCEU. Everybody's just doing their own thing, and that's sort of how they're going to handle it. And this is just another confirmation of what I think everybody noticed and realized was happening. It's going to continue to happen, and I think for the sake of continuity, it's going to get worse and worse for fans trying to find continuity. Because they don't seem to care. And that sort of approach I think can be beneficial to them, but not really beneficial for fans that desperately want continuity, because that's what keeps bringing back everybody to the MCU. That it's all connected. So we'll see how this plays out when the end result of box office and HBO comes in for the Suicide Squad.